Hi guys, and welcome to Joe's Camera. This program, we're going to go through the April finalists of the Kgalagadi Photographic Competition, the largest and the first and the most unique photographic competition in the Kgalagadi. We're going to select the top ones that we've selected already out of the hundreds of entries that we've received for April. We start off with Ephraim van der Walt. It looks like Ephraim has got 3 images in this April's final bunch, the Springbok. Beautiful, depicting very recent, I would say, April landscapes, towards the mid of April landscape, where the green grass is turned into this yellow plumed blanket that covers the Kalahari. Typical portrait, beautiful, and it represents the month of April, I would say, in the Kalahari, of 2 male Springbok that uniquely are looking straight into the camera. Normally they don't. Then Ephraim van der Walt is sending this beautiful image with this golden backlight and the grass in the foreground. So from a foreground and background, there's nothing to be faulted in this image, and the golden color around this image, the halo around this male, together with the stance, the position of this line, and the fact that he's turning his head, showing that he's concentrating either on the cameraman or something very close to the camera. Very beautiful portrait depicting the king of the Kalahari. I'm so glad Ephraim is sending this image of the butterfly, and just look at from a compositional point of view. If you think that it's only the pink flowers and the butterfly, it's not. This very subtle satin-like hues and colors in the background, very smooth, and most probably the perfect background that you can get for any subject in the Kalahari. Look at this pinks, the greens, the even deeper pinks, and the yellow in this background of the flowers. Although the cattails are normally standing up straight, I don't know why they're lying down in this instance, but at least the butterfly, I don't know whether he's twisted or flipped the image. That is actually the top of the image and that's the bottom of the image. It looks like it, but he's nevertheless flipped the image so that the butterfly stands up straight. I haven't seen what this image will look like if we turn it around. Let's see if we turn it around, and this is most probably what it looked like. Very difficult to judge, although the flowers look more in position for me, and that's typically the way that a butterfly do sit on a flower. It doesn't necessarily sit flat down or straight up always, although I must admit it could be a stronger composition like this from the eye point of view, because it naturally, as we look at human beings, look towards the open space on the right hand side, and it's composed quite beautifully. So nevertheless, to me, the important point is that the macro life has been shown and depicted on this specific image, and I want to congratulate you for that. Thank you, Ephraim. Francois Smut that also made some pictures for the March final images, sending this portrait of this male lion in the typical green January or February period of the Kalahari. It's in the grass, and besides the fact that it is an icon species, the lion itself, doesn't matter what it looks like, it's always beautiful. Whether it's rainy or it's got scars or it's got full of porcupines, it's always good. But if this was not a lion, it was just an image in the grass, and the lighting is a bit contrasty on this grass. Beautiful about it is the fact that the light is shining very nice on this one eye, but the fact that it's not on the other eye detracts a bit from the picture. So it made it to the finals of this bunch. Then Francois has thrown in a different card in here by the black and white, and this, I might just say, is also a black and a typical Kalahari image. The Kalahari roads are a destroyer of vehicles, and this image was taken in the Kalahari without a doubt. It is a typical scene that you see even in the deep Mabuas or the deep Rambukas or whatever the pans are in the central Kalahari. You will see skeletons of vehicles. The composition with the grass in front of the vehicle and the fact that it's got some light beams shining through from this top right into the vehicle makes the image quite a stronger artistic image than it might seem for the untrained eye. So I want to congratulate you for sending in this image because it definitely shows your artistic ability and not just the wildlife. So although I don't know if everyone would get this, I do get the artistic ability of the guy that took this image. Once again, this is what I talk about, the small life that is not that well captured in the Kalahari. This was a scene that showed it to us with our recent visit. We just returned from the Kalahari in April, and right next to the road, these little mice sit in the sun, and you can get real close to them. If you drive up slowly, you can get right onto them. And this is the road right here, and then that's the riverbank on the inside. So we had it beautiful where a secretary bird walked right next to this, and as our vehicles approached, the mice, they would run off down the bush and towards the riverbed, and the secretary bird would just catch them. And the secretary bird walked all along with the vehicle and capitalized on the fact that the mice runs away from the vehicles and right into its mouth. So this is, to me, beautiful. It shows another dimension of the Kalahari that we don't see. We just see the large mega predators and the big antelopes and all those adventurous things, but I do love this, and thank you very much for actually taking the time, seeing it with an eye and then capturing it for us. It is France Lombard, good France. Normally it takes, as you can see over here, good bird images, so it's a very well-trained eye to have seen that small mice and to be able to capture them. Here's the grillas in the hundreds around the waterhole, and specifically in this season of the rainy season, where all the seeds are so prolific, that's when the grass eaters stay longer and they tend to make nests, compared to other periods, other years where there's no sustained rain towards the end of the season and the grass eaters move towards the drier Namakwa area around the Kalahari. Now they're prolific. They've decided to nest in the Kalahari, and there's a prolific bird life, especially when it comes to the seed eaters. Beautiful portrait of Connie Myberg of the Cape foxes. Absolute fantastic portrait of the cub looking up towards the mother and evoking emotions from us from the camera. I would most probably just have cropped it a little bit on the dead space on the left-hand side here, the dark area, but it's well lit. It looks like it's pin sharp, and I do like the background with the sand in the Kalahari because it typically represents the Kalahari. You can't get a better lit scene than this, even if you do it in studio. So this light is of the most perfect light on this jackal that I've ever seen. In the waterhole, I love the waterhole, the fact that it doesn't look that man-made. It looks like it's a rocky outcrop within the water. If it was closed on this side, it would have looked like a waterhole, but a typical man-made waterhole, because it's open and the water comes through to the front and it actually makes up the back and assists with the compositional element of color. The blue in composition, it assists with the emphasis of the subject, the jackal in this instance, looking straight into our eye, doing something interesting by drinking water. One of the better jackal portraits seen over the past year and a half of jackal, and the most perfectly lit that we've seen. Hugh Metzler is sending this absolute incredible image of the Battalier mating, and typically that's what one finds in this specific type of camel thorn. For some reason, it seems like they prefer the curly ends of dead camel thorn trees to actually sit in. It definitely enhances the beauty of the Battalier, these type of branches. It always has. It's as if the photographers actually picked it for the birds. This is quite famous. Everyone knows where these guys are mating. And the colors are absolutely fantastic. Normally it's the orange and so on, but this pinkish, orange, brownish color is beautiful. So one of the better images of Battalier that we received over the past year and a half. Barking gecko, that's the typical barking gecko. I love the fact that someone went down into the macro world once again. It just balances out the images that we got from the Kalahari. It's beautiful. It is a typical Kalahari little animal, and one that probably creates the most beautiful sounds around sunset that there is in the Kalahari. So this is as typical Kalahari as it gets. From a compositional point of view, there's nothing wrong with the image. There are maybe some strong lighting, but that's typical night lighting, and you can't fault the image of the barking gecko. What a lovely black and white of this lioness, and of course the interest that it shows by lifting its head. Horizontal is exactly what they do if they go for a hunt or before they start to attack. So the fact that this black and white gives it even more points for me, that someone has got the insight and the creative ability to do a black and white, and I would wish more people would try that in the Kalahari. So artistic renditions of wildlife images is a way open subject and field, specifically in the Kalahari. In Europe and other countries, it is strong, but not in South Africa. So this to me is a beautiful image. I could have got done with a little bit more space on top. It's a bit cramped on top there, but beautiful portrait. That's Niels Ferreira's line, by the way, and Peter de Villiers. Peter, also a regular Kalahari guy and a Kalahari lover. I think you can't get a better portrait of an eagle like this. Look at this clean background. Normally it's full of camel thorn branches or the bark of the camel thorn. This looks like it's done in a studio, and without the bark of the camel thorn, it wouldn't be that typical Kalahari. It just brings in that level of Kalahari, and it brings in that surprise element or that hiding element or secret element of the owl hiding behind the tree. Beautiful portrait of a owl. This by Tracy Slavin of the cheetah is a typical stance or depiction of what the cheetahs do. They are always associated with camel thorn branches or at the bottom of a camel thorn tree where they look up and down the riverbeds, and they use the camel thorns to actually hide under oats. This specific image was during the wet season, and you can see all this lush green grass that actually obstructs the cheetah from hunting effectively right now, especially after the rain with all the seeds, because this grass is in the eye level of the cheetahs, and if they start running at full speed, then you have the eyes being compromised, and that is one of the strongest points or leverage points of the hunting abilities of or hunting talents of the cheetah. So a beautiful image. Although these branches are out of focus and it could seem that it attracts, it actually frames the subject, and framing a subject with natural elements is something that only the trained eye can do. So congratulations, Tracy, on a well-seen image. So those were the final guys, and here we go with the finals of the April competition. Ephraim van der Walt, your springbok in the grass goes in. Ephraim van der Walt, congratulations on number one, seeing the small things and capturing it with this beautiful smooth backdrop. Francie, good image, and you just want to keep on looking at this image. For some reason, it's just something that people overlook. So congratulations for actually seeing this and actually capturing it. Connie, congratulations on the most perfectly lit scene in the Kalahari. You, probably the strongest wrapped image that we've seen so far from a fine art point of view. Of course, this could be better if the battalier was looking up and you could see the full face of the battalier by looking down, both of them, but that's exactly what they do when they do mate. It's not that strong, but the colors are absolutely fantastic. Marissa, the barking gecko goes through because you took the time of using your camera after hours, not just putting it down when the sun set after a game drive, but you made work of one of the most beautiful sound animals in the Kalahari. Niels Ferreira, congratulations on the black and white. It's a very strong image, and it leaves the viewer to actually interpret it in different ways than just seeing it straight in color. Peter, congratulations on a beautiful image of L, one of the best images of L we've seen in the year and a half, and we actually love it. Tracy Slavin, good for actually seeing this and depicting a typical Kalahari scene in the wet season of the river magic cats, the cheetah of the Nosop and the Alp River. So that's it, the finalists for the April photographic competition of the Kalahari. Remember, it's the first photographic competition in the Kgalagadi. It is the best and the biggest photographic competition of the Kalahari, only for the Kalahari, born in the Kalahari and just for the Kgalagadi photographer. So we've got great hopes for the competition growing. There's some beautiful images already that we've gathered over the months. As a matter of fact, if one glances through the Facebook page of Kgalagadi Photography at the photos, it looks like an absolute immaculate photographic photo, a coffee table book that you get anywhere in the world. So the images are beautiful. Keep sending them in because the prizes are beautiful. It's around 80,000 rands worth of prizes. The final 5 photographers that are selected at the end of August goes through to the end of September when we select the finals, the 9th of 10th of October. We have the incredible function at the Kgalagadi Lodge where the top 5 and their partners will be invited to an all-inclusive weekend at the Kgalagadi Lodge. At the function, we will select the winner and the second and third prizes. It's at this function as well where we get the Bushmans, the Khoisan to come and dance for us in the dunes. It is at this function where we get to Elias Larish, the last surviving Larish of the generations that actually set up, founded and built the Kgalagadi Transfrontier Park to what it is today. Please make sure that you enter the competition, press that like button and subscribe to get all the new updates of Joe's camera.